Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. And does it always sound that loud? Oh, it sounds really loud. Are you okay? Can you hear me, Emerson? Welcome and opening words. Anybody have anything to say? It's a beautiful day out there, and this Wednesday will be the dinner, right? Yes. Yeah, and I think are those opening words? Wednesday will be the dinner at the LaSalle Yacht Club. Emerson and I will be there. And can we do the chalice lighting now? May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. Now is the time for joys and sorrows shared. Would anyone like to come up?
Good morning. My name's Meg, and I decided every week I'm going to share something I'm grateful for because there's no reason that we can't find something out there that we're grateful for. And today when I was driving here, I realized how grateful I am to have a vehicle, a car. Luther gave me, can you hear me okay? Luther gave me the car that I drive, and I'm really, really appreciative, and I've decided to start exploring parks, even if it's by myself. I'm not from the area, so that'll be fun. Thank you. And I'm really grateful that Jen's up here braving it. She's a role model for me.
If there are any more joys and sorrows?
I bought some paints years ago, and I finally decided to open them. And when I opened them, I thought, why not just paint? It was a Bob Ross. I didn't see the video. I went on YouTube. And so I'm following Bob Ross, and I'm yelling at him a little bit. I'm like, you're going so fast. I know Bob Ross went so fast. But I painted a painting. I hate it, but I think that's just normal. People. But I did my first Bob Ross painting.
Emerson, do you have any joys to share? Come on up. I have no idea what he's going to say. You share something, a joy that happened to you lately? Or I know a joy. In 1 week, next Saturday, somebody's going to be 7 years old. That's a joy. Yeah.
Plus, I got a pet fish.
And he's got a pet fish. Well, he caught a fish, but he has a pet fish. Yes, we have a thing that doesn't require an actual filter. It has seeds and grow stuff, so the fish's poop fertilizes the seeds to grow, and it filters the water, so it's really cool. Okay, you want to light a thing now?
Okay.
For your joy, for your birthday coming up? Tilt it sideways, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes. 5 minutes before I was about to leave today, he said, I want to go and support Mama. I want to go. So he's here. Okay. So I guess I'll just start. I wrote a blog about 12 years ago, and I was just going to read that, and then I read it last night, and it took me 6 minutes. So then I decided to write some more. But this is from my blog. This one's titled The Ides of March. It's the beginning of March again. I hate this time of year. From March 1st to March 15th, I remember the accident all the time. February 28th, nothing. March 16th, nothing. But in between those days, I think of the accident often. March 15th, 2000, the day my world changed forever. My best friend Marissa and I were driving to pick up Sarah, then going to Amanda's house, then going to see the Backstreet Boys in Toronto. I didn't even like the Backstreet Boys. Metallica was my kind of jam. And Marissa was in love with the Backstreet Boys and Nick Carter, and she loved their music, so we decided to go. I said I would go. So, I don't actually remember that day, though. The last memory I have is from a couple weeks before that. My dad and Dana went to the Bahamas, and I was 16. I remember having a couple of friends over while they were gone. I remember Heather and Marissa being there. I remember a beer funnel in the bathroom, and I remember people going outside on the deck to smoke. And that's the last memory I have, and it's vague. On the 15th, went to school as a normal day, and then Marissa and I never made it to Sarah's house. We were driving down Dickersonville Road, just off away from my house, and came to a stop sign. I don't know if we stopped and didn't see the car coming from the west because the sun was setting. It was about 4:20 in the afternoon, or if she thought she could make it because she was 16. I don't know what happened. But we entered the intersection, and the car belonging to Marissa's parents was hit at 55 miles an hour on the driver's side. The car went flying down the road until it hit a car parked in a driveway nearby. The volunteer firemen arrived at the scene first, and they had to use the jaws of life to tear the car apart to get us from the inside. We weren't wearing seatbelts. I don't know why I was always a big advocate of seatbelts, and I am to this day. Maybe because Sarah's only a couple of miles away, I don't know. My body was on the floor, shoved under the dashboard, and Marissa's body was on top of me, ended up protecting me. The firemen didn't even realize that I was in there until they took her out. She died on impact. They put her in an ambulance and brought her body to St. Mary's Hospital in Lewiston. I was still alive, but I needed emergency attention ASAP. A helicopter was called to the scene, and I was mercy flighted to Children's Hospital of Buffalo. I actually flatlined and died myself that day. I had a traumatic brain injury, my lungs collapsed, I had to move apart. I was a mess. I don't know. I was in a coma for a week. I have a scar where the tube was inserted in my lungs to keep me alive. I had tubes sticking out of me everywhere. When I arrived at Children's Hospital, my hair was so full of glass shards and stuff, and then they had to put the shunt in my brain to relieve the pressure, that they had to shave half of my head down to the scalp with a razor blade to do the surgery. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? I'll stand perfectly still. What, try that one? Can you hear me now? Because I turned on this one. Okay. I,
That clip on, just turn it on and use it and speak and see how we do.
all right, back to, sounds good. Okay, so my parents shaved the other half of my head. After a couple of weeks in the ICU, I went to the step-down floor. I was paralyzed. I couldn't talk or anything. My brain was a mess. I was just like a body. And then, sorry, and then was stomach storming. This is when my brain was really busy fixing itself. My arm and leg would move continuously in a circle like this, just nonstop, all day, every day. It says, I just Googled thalamic storming so I could write something here, and it's pretty upsetting for me to read about. It's also called sympathetic storming. Sympathetic storming is theorized to be an increase in activity of the sympathetic nervous system created by disassociation or loss of balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Basically, my body was going a little haywire and it looked really painful, but it says I wasn't in a lot of pain, just recovery. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Thank you. My family put up a sign in the room with the alphabet on it, and after I was a little better, I would blink on the letters to spell out words to communicate. I don't remember any of that. I do know that, I was not acting like myself. I guess my aunt was pregnant and she was smoking, and I used some really lively words with her and yelled at her and, told her this and that. I mean, I would have maybe had those thoughts, but I never would have done that if I had not, been going through this or whatever. Okay. They finally told me about Marissa when I was in my last room. It was on the floor where I had all my therapies: speech therapy, occupational therapy, what's the one? Physical therapy. Man, I hated physical therapy the most. After being in a coma and paralyzed and everything, I was so stiff. My range of motion was non-existent. I remember when my therapist just moved my wrist a centimeter, it hurt so much. Every movement was agony. It took me a long time to be able to walk on my own. It was very hard. But a month or two later, after I was in the accident, finally I was told about I asked why I was in the hospital. Finally, I was told that Marissa and I were in the car accident. I asked how she was. Was she in the hospital or at home? Could I see her? The silence was my answer. Holy cow, my parents were all alive. I had never even known anyone that had died, and now my very best friend. I didn't get to say goodbye. Oh God, it was horrible. Oh yeah, it turns out that my dad and Dana came home from Bahamas and found out about my little party, and I was in big trouble. I was grounded for a long time. I don't remember any of that, so that was cool. It was so hard that time in my life. I was 16. I lost my best friend. My entire life changed forever in an instant. I could write 20 books about it, and I could talk to you about it for the rest of my life, and you could never understand what it was like. Everything changed. I was 16. I had my license. I was just getting my independence. And suddenly I was in diapers again. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. My best friend was dead. I had to spend the whole summer getting tutored and going to speech, physical, occupational therapies every day of the week. Well, the 12-year anniversary is quickly approaching. It's Thursday. I'm going to meet my family and friends at the grave that afternoon. We do this every year. Do you have a question? Anyways, we go to the grave every year on the anniversary, and my family loves me extra because they know how close they were to losing me, and I give thanks to Marissa. So that's what I wrote 12 years ago. Do you have a question? Yes. So there was KFC right across the street from Children's Hospital Buffalo, and they would say, if you can do physical therapy, we'll get you a biscuit. So that was my reward. I'd do physical therapy and then get a biscuit at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And so I wrote this out, or this I wrote a long time ago, but it's kind of depressing. So I ended up writing a lot more last night, and I'll continue with that. The blog post ends there, but obviously I'm still alive. I turned 40 last year, and March 15th, 2000 is still one of the most impactful days of my life, perhaps the most impactful day, as I was 16, and it changed the entire trajectory of my life. I was the firstborn with 2 little sisters. My parents divorced when I was 7, and I don't remember this, but my dad has told me that he has regrets over the responsibilities that fell on my shoulders. I didn't feel that, though. I was proud to be a part of our foursome, 3 daughters and their mom, dad, as we called him. Even before the divorce, I was responsible, mature, conscientious is the word they used in my kindergarten report card. I must have felt a lot of pressure, though, mostly without even realizing it. I was a tomboy, only playing with the boys in the neighborhood, only shopping in the boys' section of Kmart. I wanted to be just like my dad, playing sports, working with tools, fixing cars. I even used to lift the seat, face the wall, and stand up to pee like my dad. I mean, I have this memory of like the bathroom and standing up to pee. I got straight A's throughout school. I was athletic and excelled at sports, soccer and the 400-meter track specifically. This made him happy and proud and made me feel good. Marissa was the opposite. He tells the story of the first day of first grade when I came home, so excited to have a best friend. I really let loose and had fun when I was a kid when I was with her. After the accident, life changed. I changed. It was difficult, and it was a hard recovery. But I had done honors classes, advanced classes, AP stuff up until then, and I'd planned on having this honors diploma, this and that. But because of the accident, I didn't get the credits for the last of 11th grade. I just went back to got regular credits. I was no longer eligible for the honors diploma, and this was devastating news when I got it, but it turned into an amazing freedom. When I returned to school 6 months after the accident, I was a senior. And all I needed to graduate a Regents diploma was English, social studies, gym, and Spanish. So that's all I took. And that changed everything. I began to see life so differently. I started to see that the honors diploma requirements and all of the achievements I was getting or working towards, it wasn't real. Not as I saw it. Social constructs kind of became a joke to me. I was free. I felt liberated and amazing. In love with life for the first time. My senior year was fun. Being in non-honors English, social studies was so easy. The student makeup was so different. There was nope, it was like a joke. I easily got all A's, but then I had to intentionally try hard to get an F because I wanted to get an F one time in my life. So I tried really hard, and the professor even wrote home to my dad and said I think her brain injury is making her something really wrong with her because it was funny. but I tried and I got an F. Yeah, my English teacher wrote home to my dad. Oh yeah, and the English teacher also wrote to my dad because I was writing papers on, really, they were supposed to be like satire, but he thought they were real. When I wrote papers on how I needed to know, everything I needed to know in life I learned in kindergarten, and like to be kind and share and stuff like that. And I remember writing a paper on Shakespeare's "To Thine Own Self Be True," and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man, and that became my life's motto, and it still is now. I've had conversations with Emerson about it. It's so simple, but one must know oneself first. I was going to be a pediatrician before the accident. I was invited to attend some prestigious pre-med thing in DC the summer of 2000. Instead, I was learning to stand, walk, pick up objects, do simple puzzles, talk again. What a gift. I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to make my dad proud. Math and science are so easy to me, but it's not what I love. It doesn't bring me as much joy as other things. I didn't have to do all the extra years to become a doctor, but I was still going to go to school to be a physician's assistant. I was enrolled to start at Damon College. I had a roommate and everything. A week before classes started, I called and unenrolled. I didn't even tell my dad. But to appease him, I signed up for a semester at NCCC. My senior year was only English, social studies, and then gym every other day, and then Spanish sometimes. I spent a month in Venezuela my freshman year, a month in Spain my junior year, and I was supposed to spend a month in Argentina the year of my accident, like a couple weeks after the accident. I went with the Spanish professor and his wife, and he felt like a friend. There were just a handful of students in that advanced Spanish, so really I didn't attend much, and it wasn't an issue. I did the work. My senior year, I got out of class early, and on Tuesdays I would go to Buffalo and volunteer at a soup kitchen there, where my grandfather did the St. Vincent de Paul soup kitchen in Buffalo like for 50 years or something, and so a woman there came and visited me at the hospital, so I kind of became close with her, so I'd go on Tuesdays and do that with her. So I'd just go to school for a couple hours in the morning and then leave, and it was okay. I washed dishes at Apple Granny's. I served lunch at Lombardi's or stood at the cash register at Jay's place my senior year when I got out of school at 10 or 11. I saved every penny. The summer I graduated, I went as a student ambassador to Spain, France, Germany, and Switzerland, and I spent it. That's a whole nother story. I was feeling so rebellious towards the society's rules and stuff like that once I saw them for what they were, or at least what I thought at the time. Some of the other kids and I got in trouble in France, and I was the oldest and the most outspoken. After living with families as an exchange student for Spain and Venezuela, I detested being dragged around from tourist spot to tourist spot. So the next day after I got in trouble, everyone had to go to the Eiffel Tower. I was expected to stay in my hotel room all day. And I snuck out, walked down the street, went to a bar, had a screwdriver or something, and talked with the locals. And that was the best day of the whole trip. At NCCC that fall, I took Intro to Philosophy, and that was it. I was in love with it. I was in love with it all. The philosophers, the ideas, the conversations. I didn't know the joy of learning until then. If I had become a physician's assistant, I may never have known. And learning, reading, discussing, it's one of the greatest joys of my life right now. I'm in 3 book clubs, which bring me joy. And yesterday, I finished a book, and I picked up my next read, and it actually coincides with my experience here. This is called The Measure. And in this book, I didn't read it yet, but like everyone on the planet on the same morning wakes up and gets a box, and their front porch has their name, and then there's a string in it, so it'll tell you how long, what day you're gonna die, pretty much. Like, do you wanna know, do you wanna open your box or not? So, I haven't read it yet, but that's the premise of it. Anyways, so I've traveled, I've lived in an RV in the desert on public lands in Arizona for a winter. I lived in Orange County, California, and went to grad school there. I've bathed in the river, played with indigenous kids when I stayed in their Venezuelan village, when I went back to Venezuela as an adult, not when I was in high school. I spent a month in Germany, in a German village, Altwarmbuchen, just living regular life there as a regular person. I've touched the Opera House in Sydney, slept through an earthquake in Panama, and had guns pointed at me in Tibet. Met the most amazing man I've ever known, the love of my life, when I was volunteering in an orphanage in Nepal. I've experienced so much, and I mean, eyes wide open, heart wide open, really experienced so much. And I think I owe it all to March 15th, 2000. Oh, I wish I'd made plans with Patty to play this song or something, but I'll read the lyrics. And to quote Frank Sinatra, I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. And I ended up going to, I would do one semester on, one semester off. So I did one semester at NCCC, and then I took the semester off, and I used to drive down to Long Island. I had some friends that I'd gone on the summer trip with. So I drove down to Long Island a lot during my semester off, and I kind of moved down there. Because when I changed plans from living at Damon to staying at home, my parents had sold the house and they moved to downsize their house, so I ended up having to share my bedroom that I didn't plan on doing. So I just tried to stay gone a lot, and I drove down to New York City a lot with some friends, and then I went to NU, and I ended up getting sociology, social work, and philosophy and social work were my minors. Sociology was my major, and then, so, I don't know. I went to NU, and, are you okay, bud? What's going on? Oh, you're great. Oh, he was trying to give me an encore. Oh, thank you, Emerson. So, thank you. So I guess that's all I've written. I could keep talking. Um, so, no. I mean, because I'm 16 and athletic and healthy, it really helped, and I came through like miraculously, I guess. And yeah.
And I apologize if we have mentioned your heritage.
Tuscarora, she was born on the reservation.
That's two of us.
Do you want to come sit up here? Do you have a question? His grandfather's. Okay. Yeah, so then I did that, and I mean, I have another thing planned to talk about this other life, but that was like the accident and the experience, and yeah, I'm going to talk about Nepal like next time, because I mean, I did a lot of traveling. When I was in NU, I went to Panama on a service trip, and I love traveling and I love volunteering, and so I was searching online for places to go, and it's like really expensive, and then I found this one organization that was pretty cheap, and I thought I'd be going back to a Spanish-speaking country because I speak Spanish well enough. And then as soon as I saw Nepal, my heart just took me there. So I went, and that was like, it was great. I fell in love with it. Like the minute I landed there, it's like the most magical place on the earth for me, yeah. And I had a really great time in Nepal, and I did an orphanage work, and I was friends with my husband. And then I went back 4 years later on my own, and that's when we got married, and hello, Emerson. Yeah. Yes. Yes? Yeah, that's a good sign. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, that was my experience of the car accident. I mean, it was really bad, obviously. But after a few months, after I went back to school, is when I realized like, life doesn't have to be the intense pressure, the performance all the time. All these things are not really real. Like, who cares if I get an honors diploma? Who cares? Like, that's not what matters. Like, I'm alive. Like, I'm alive. Like, holy cow, I'm alive. And I felt like after the car accident, like, I didn't have pressure from anybody because everyone was just like, oh, you're alive. Good job. So I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be anything. I mean, I quit band. I quit track. And people thought, maybe my dad thought like, oh no, she has a brain injury. She's going to be depressed or something. But like, it was a freedom for me to quit these things because I didn't want to really be doing them. I wanted to have a life, be with friends, be social, whatever. I did travel, read, learn, whatever. So I felt a lot of freedom after that, and I even had to. Marissa's parents had the car, and they had a big balloon insurance policy, so I had to write out a journal and pretend like I was depressed. I wanted to make it sound really pathetic, so that I ended up getting a house out of it. My dad helped me purchase a duplex. And so now I have that for income and stuff, and that helped set my future, whatever. Are you okay, Emerson? Come here, talk to me. You can come sit up here, bud. Yes, there's a lot of pollution. There's a lot of pollution in Kathmandu. Yeah. Yes. Kathmandu is really crowded and dusty and dirty and polluted. When I was pregnant there, I had to wear a mask all the time. And cows are walking around, and there's poop all around, and up until kind of within the past decade, they just pooped anywhere they want. The government has put out an open defecation-free thing when a county becomes open defecation-free. Yeah. I don't know. Yes? 11:35. Do you want to come stand with me? I don't know, a little while longer. Here, look at her. We saw her at the library before, remember? Yeah, so any questions? Yeah. Yeah. But I didn't actually even do it to like be, I just did it, it's just what happened because I didn't have any other choice. And being in the hospital, like my parents, my dad and stepmom and mom and stepdad, like they switched. So Sonia was with me every single day that I was in there. I was never alone in there. They was always with me. So I remember like your brain forms and this and that, but I always felt like that's when I was born. That's my birthday, March 15th, 2000. That's when I was born. And like my brain was getting rewired at that time. And I had like my family was there all the time. Everybody, it was just so much love pouring into me. Maybe how like I should have had as a child, I don't know. But it was it really helped my recovery because my family was there, everybody was supporting me, like every day at school, apparently. They would like do a loudspeaker at my high school, oh, every day, oh, Jen learned to walk, oh, Jen brushed her teeth, oh, Jen did this. So they, like everybody's aware of, like the whole community, the whole everything was involved and supporting me, and it was great. And I guess that's it. Book is when I read it. Okay. Any announcements? Extinguishing chalice? Okay.
Extinguish this chalice.
Chalice. But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts till we are together again.